Chapter 8. Loops in Python. Welcome to the world of programming where you'll explore one of its most essential and powerful concept of loops. Python provides different types of loops to handle looping requirements. While all the ways provide similar basic functionality, they differ in their syntax and condition checking time. Looping in Python forms the backbone of efficient and dynamic coding. Loops. In programming, programmers do not particularly like repeating the same commands. So, programming languages have loop options in that case. Loop causes a section of our program to be repeated a certain number of times. The repetition continues while a condition is true. When the condition becomes false, the loop ends and the control passes to the statement following the loop. In looping, a sequence of statements is executed until some condition for the termination of the loop is satisfied. A program loop therefore consists of two segments, one known as the body of the loop and the other known as the control statement. The control statement tests certain conditions and then directs the repeated execution of the statements contained in the body of the loop. If we want to print the same text 3 times, normally we will code it 3 times. Now, suppose we have been asked to print this statement 100 times, what would be done? Writing the same code again and again would be more tedious and time-consuming. Here comes the loop as a savior. Types of loops. There are 2 types of loops in Python. Counter loop, for loop and for else loop. Conditional loop, while loop and while else loop. Counter loop. The for loop is used to repeat a block of statements until there is no item in any sequence. This statement iterates over the items of any sequence, a list or a string, in the order that they appear in the sequence. Loop continues until we reach the last item in the sequence. The body of loop is separated from the rest of the code using indentations. Flowchart of for loop. For each item in sequence. Last item reached. No. Body of for loop. Yes. Exit loop. Let us take a real-life example. Suppose we need to print 5 pages from the printer. In this case, printing task is same for all 5 pages. So, we set the condition in loop, print the pages till 5th paper is printed. As per condition, printer prints the page up to the 5th paper. When it reaches up to page 6, it will stop the printing. Paper in the printer. Reached to 5th paper. Yes. Stop printing. No. Continue printing the pages. Syntax for var in sequence. For keyword reserve word. Var hold the single value of sequence. In check the existence of items in sequence. Sequence collection of items. Statement 1. Statement 2. Loop indentation. Statement 10. Loop body. Execute for each item of sequence. Sequence, it is a collection of elements. String, list or tuple are termed as sequence. In operator, it is used to check existence of value in a sequence. If it finds the value in a sequence, it evaluates true, otherwise false. Program 1. Print all the letters of cobot. Program code. Output in interactive mode. When the above program is executed, the X variable holds the first letter of cobot and the in operator will check the existence of the letter in the sequence, string. If it exists, the loop body will be executed and the first letter C will be printed. Now, second time when X holds the second letter of cobot, the in operator will again check the existence of the letter in the sequence, string. If it exists, the loop body will be executed and the second letter O will be printed. This process will continue to print the letters of the word cobot till X reaches up to the last letter. Range is a predefined function of Python. This function is used when we need to perform an action for a specific number of times. It returns the sequence of numbers. The range function consists of three parameters: start, stop, and steps. Start and steps are optional and are used for specific cases, but stop parameter is mandatory as it is used to define the final point of the sequence. Fact GPT. Range function, by default, starts from value 2000 and self-incremented by value 1. It always includes the first value but excludes the last value. Example: normal coding style takes more time and space to type the repetitive code, and it has more chance of error in writing the program. Using the loop, we can see that the lines of code reduce. Due to the short code, it takes less time to type the code, which saves overall time and also makes the program error-free. Program 2. Print all the numbers between 1 to 10. Program code. Output in interactive mode. In the above program, range function has two parameters: start is equal to 1 and stop is equal to 11. So, here every time step value by default would be incremented by 1 and values from 1 to 10 will get printed. Counter loop, for else loop. When we use else with for loop, this structure is known as for else loop. The else clause of a loop gets executed only if the loop completes its execution normally without encountering a break statement. Syntax. Program 3. Print the message print done after printer prints 5 pages. Program code. Output in interactive mode. When the above program executes, the loop statement will execute 5 times. Once the range goes to 6, it will print the else statement. Conditional loop, while loop. The while loop in Python is used to repeat a block of statements for given number of times until the given condition is false. It starts with the condition. If the condition is true, then statements inside the while loop will be executed. Otherwise, if the given condition is false, then it will not be executed for at least once. It means while loop may execute 0 or more time. Flowchart of while loop. While condition. True. Body of while loop. False. Exit loop. Suppose we need to print the pages from the printer until the printer tray gets empty. In this case, we do not know the exact number of papers in tray, but we know a condition, till the tray gets empty. So, the printer checks the availability of pages each time it begins to print and stops at unavailability. While loop. Empty tray. No. Continue printing the pages. Yes. Stop printing. While loop is also known as entry control loop. Syntax. While condition. While keyword reserve word. Condition any expression that evaluates true and false. Statement 1. Statement 2. Loop indentation. Statement 10. Loop body execute when condition is true. Program 4. Print the pages until the user enters stop. Program code. Output in interactive mode. In this program, uns variable is initialized to start, so loop condition is true and it will enter the loop and execute the statement. This process executes the loop statements until user types the word stop. Once the user types it, the loop gets terminated. Program 5. Print the sum of series from 1 to 5. Program code. Output in interactive mode. In this program, the variables num and sum are initialized to 1 and 0. The loop condition evaluates to true as num is equal to 5 and it will enter the loop and store the value 1 in the sum variable. Next, the value of num will be incremented by 1 and now set to 2. The program's control moves to while loop and again the value of num is checked against condition, i.e. num5, as it is still satisfying the condition. So, it will lead to the execution of statements inside the loop body and the process would be repeated until the condition evaluates to false, such as when the value of num exceeds 5. Conditional loop, while-else loop. When we use else with while loop, this structure is known as while-else loop. Using this loop, we can run an instruction code when the comparing value reaches the limit of the condition value. Syntax. Program 6. Print the value of variable until it becomes less than 0. Program code. Output in interactive mode. In this program, the value variable is initialized to 5, so the loop condition is true and it will enter the loop and print number 5. Next, the value will be decremented by 1. Again, the condition will be tested and evaluates to true, so it will enter the loop and print number 4. This process executes the loop statement until value becomes less than 0. Once the value variable becomes less than 0, the loop gets terminated and the else statement gets executed. Break statement. The break statement can be used to unconditionally jump out of the loop. It terminates the execution of the loop. We can use it in the while loop and for loop. Break is mostly required when due to some external condition, we need to exit from a loop. Program 7. Exit the loop when num is equal to 4. Program code. Output in interactive mode. In the execution of this program, the loop terminates when the value of num becomes 4. Continue statement. Continue statement is used to tell the program to skip the rest of the statements of the current iteration of loop block and move to next iteration of the loop. Loop does not terminate but continues on with the next iteration. This can also be used with both while and for loop. Program 8. Print all the values from 1 to 6 except the value 3. Program code. Output in interactive mode. Recapitulate. Looping in Python forms the backbone of efficient and dynamic coding. In looping, a sequence of statements is executed until some condition for the termination of the loop is satisfied. A program loop therefore consists of two segments, one known as the body of the loop and the other known as the control statement. There are two types of loops in Python, counter loop and conditional loop. The range function consists of three parameters: start, stop and steps. When we use else with for loop, this structure is known as for else loop. While loop is also known as entry control loop. When we use else with while loop, this structure known as while else loop. Using this loop, we can run an instruction code when the comparing value reaches to exceed limit of condition value. Break statement can be used to unconditionally jump out of the loop, which terminates the execution of the loop. Continue statement is used to tell the program to skip the rest of the statements of the current iteration of loop block and move to the next iteration of the loop. Gloss GPT. For loop, the counter loop which is used to repeat a block of statements until there is no item in any sequence. Range, a predefined function of Python which is used when we need to perform an action for a specific number of times. While loop, the conditional loop in Python which is used to repeat a block of statements for a given number of times until the given condition is false.